Story 1. A wedding, a vacation, a new roof, new windows, anything that costs over $3,000 because I feel like I saved $3,000 and then an emergency happens and there goes my fund for anything else I plan the money for. Story 2. A space where I could run an indoor hydroponic tower. It'll be called the salad garden. Multiple lettuces and herbs for dressing and flavor. Alternatively, empty the whole thing and replace all of the cups with basil. The pesto tower. Story 3. 1. Buy apartments and gift them for cooperative ownership to the tenants. Engage unemployed tenants for repairs and maintenance, and provide them with training and links to unions relevant to their trade, such as the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, for example. Implement the same cooperative ownership model for manufacturing, food production, and other sectors from neighborhood to neighborhood. Create a program accredited by the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology at existing community colleges to better facilitate the transfer and completion of engineering degrees in 4 years. Fund lobbying efforts to protect nurse-to-patient ratios. Fund lobbying efforts to protect Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program and electronic benefits transfer benefits for people who attend school full-time for a science, technology, engineering, or mathematics field. Currently, here in California, these benefits are cut unless you pursue trade or vocational tracks. Introduce higher-level chemistry, math, and physics curriculum, lesson plans, and resources to local community colleges, and provide better funding for clubs that can help students secure internships and jobs. Partner with all National Aeronautics and Space Administration programs as well. Establish a legal fund for the undocumented and deferred action for childhood arrivals community in my city. Story 4. I do not typically dream of acquiring anything. I do spend a lot of time figuring out what I could cut out of my life that is costing me a lot and is giving me little in return. Story 5. House, somewhat of a nicer car, not having to worry about finances in a lacking way, and having enough money to retire my mom and take her out to nice places at least once in a while. Story 6. A home. About 5 years ago, I was starting my career and was almost making enough to afford a starter home. Since then, I've doubled my salary, but the home prices near me have increased so much that I'm actually farther away from owning a decent home than I was then. Story 7. A house with at least 5 acres near downtown Austin in Eanes School District, which is one of the best in the state. 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms with an attached apartment for my dad. On the lake or river with a pool. A space to garden. Then I want to rent my current home out at a lower rate than the current rental ones. I'm probably 5 years out, but I hope it comes soon. Our goal is to be there in the next 6 years so my kid starts high school there. Even if it's not our forever home, we want to be out there for my kid's education. Story 8. I was able to buy a new car, my first, in 2006, thanks to Hurricane Katrina. It's 18 years old and falling apart. There's no way I could afford a new car now. Story 9. A place of my own with no roommates. I could technically afford an apartment, but it would be literally over 3 times the rent I'm paying now for a 1-bedroom. But Story 10. A car, even a clunker. I don't think people realize how wonderful it is to not have to carry your whole day's worth of stuff all the time. And cutting out Uber fees would save me. Story 11. Being a homeowner, I have 2 cats. One is lazy, and the other has so much energy. I really just want a house so I can build a cat shelf or bed in front of a window for the lazy one to look out and put shelves on the walls for the energetic one to run around on. Story 12. A house of my own. I'm 33 and have been living at home for about 6 years now. I feel like a failure, but I don't want to rent right now and cannot afford to buy. Story 13. 1. Being able to drive by an item or furniture out at the curb without at least checking it out. 2. A house big enough to not have a couch that isn't against a wall and wasn't secondhand. See number 1. Story 14. A condominium, if not a house, would be nice. My ultimate dream is to buy back my grandpa's house and replant the trees my uncle had. High winds ripped them out of the ground, but they made it so beautiful. I don't think I'll ever be able to afford either. Story 15. Nissan's brand new twin-turbo V6 Armada. Not that I would ever buy a new Nissan. I will just wait for that sweet Nissan depreciation to peak around 2030 to 2033. A restored 1976 to 1978 Datsun 280Z Devil Z. Story 16. Making my own story, turning it into a comic book form, and then animating it. I cannot write, I cannot draw a comic book, and I have no idea how to animate on my own. That would mean I need to pay people to do it for me, which I do not have. Story 17. If I were in any other state making what I make, this wouldn't be an issue. The problem is that what I am currently making by New York City standards is steadily shifting from lower middle class to working poor. I am grateful for what I have, but it is getting harder to live here. Story 18. My own O-scale model train layout is really nice, detailed, and large. The only way I can run my models is at my model train club's layout. I just don't have the space or money to achieve the layout I want. Story 19. I dream of being able to tip a life-changing amount of money to my server every time I go out to eat. When I see that Mega Millions Lotto hit $1 billion, I think of doing that first if I won. If you do a good job on my lunch, let's get you a car or maybe cover your kids' college fund. Story 20. I dream of owning a home with a lot of land and open space. I would also love to be able to grow my own food. Maybe a log cabin with a lake nearby or a mountain home where there is snow annually. Story 21. A home, a car, children, traveling the world. All while working a full-time job and splitting bills and costs with my boyfriend, who also has a full-time job. At this rate, we will never be able to, and apparently we have to be okay with it. Story 22. Retirement. I am unsure it will ever be affordable. Self-employed, paid contractually, 3 kids we choose to support financially through college. They work during breaks, but they don't make enough to even sort of support themselves. Story 23. To just be debt-free so I can live a normal life without struggling all the time. I want to do things other people are doing at my age, but I know I never can. Story 24. Mental stability. Who can actually afford that? I mean, yes, there are medications and therapy, but are they really enough? I've seen friends who got so depressed they attempted suicide. Like me. They are doing better now financially and physically, but mentally, they're still the same. I think it can never be attained. We can only act as if we already did, then sulk in the darkness when we're all alone. Story 25. An awesome bus or van that I have converted into a pirate ship-style highway bandit vehicle equipped with a crow's nest and old pirate ship wheel on the second floor of the car to control like the noble captain I will be. The vehicle will have sets of cannons for fending off the police and East American Trading Company. It will have a plank to force unruly or misbehaving crew mates off. The vehicle will be capable of traversing nearly all terrain and will be relatively unstoppable when challenged. Story 26. I have always wanted a boat. I got a new job that I love, and I am putting money away to purchase a nice kayak to go out on. Far into the future, I would love to have a boat to take friends out on the water. Story 27. To truly live, everything revolves around just going to work to either save a little money or spend it on having fun. There is no in-between. I want to be able to put something aside that can make a difference, but also be able to partake in my hobbies. Story 28. Porsche Cayman 718. Should be able to get a decent one for around £30,000 towards the end of next year. Edit. Christ, feel like a right asshole after reading some of these replies. Story 29. Retirement. 20 more years is my goal. I want a nice retirement, not just scraping by. I'm doing a lot of sacrificing right now so I can have that later. Story 30. A flower shop. I have wanted to own a flower shop since I was little, but I feel like life just keeps causing issues that prevent it from ever happening. Story 31. Want to buy a house? Learn a trade. Carpenter, plumber, electrician, laborer. Up here in New England, the least you'll get paid is around $35 an hour. I struggled in sales jobs and signed up to be a laborer. I bought a house in 4 years. The trades are desperate for people. So many kids coming out of school, and nobody is lining up to be a carpenter or a plumber or anything like that anymore. Story 32. A nice KitchenAid stand mixer. I love baking, but because there are cheaper alternatives out there, like a hand mixer, I can't justify a $300 appliance purchase with how my funds have been. Story 33, living. Just literally being able to buy food, own a home, pay my bills, and not nearly have a heart attack every day from worry. People think America is some vast land of opportunity, but it is not. It's a nightmare, and if you don't have money and, God forbid, you're sick on top of that, you might as well be dead. Republicans will not rest until the poor in this country are dead. And when you show them literally what their vote does, they pull a who me and mention Bill Clinton. This country is hell for the poor. I can't even envision a future where I can go to a doctor when I need to. Forget this whole place. Story 34. Living off the grid on a solar-powered yacht that has zero energy costs and all the amenities you need on board. The technology is almost there, but the price tag sure isn't. Story 35. Voice lessons. I love singing so much and always have ever since I can remember. I think I have some natural talent and I have taught myself a lot with materials available online and by observation, but I'm afraid of getting too stuck in bad habits and permanently straining my voice by doing too complex stuff without the proper technique. Story 36. It's more of a current issue, but a new water heater. Mine went out a couple of weeks ago, so I've been living with no water because I can't afford a water heater and its installation. Story 37. Trying to save up for a small shuttle bus to turn into a camper and drive around the United States and Canada. This would be my second build. I actually just bought one, but it turned out the engine is shot, so it's just sitting in my driveway. Story 38. Marrying my significant other. The cost of living these days is so expensive. Just the cost of an engagement ring scares me. The thought of having an actual wedding is such a pipe dream. I doubt we will ever make it happen. Story 39. I would love to be able to pay my bills without anxiously looking at my bank account. I can't imagine being able to just go, oh, it's time to pay the internet bill, and just pay it like that. Story 40. Pagani Zonda. I thought about renting one when I was traveling for the first time as an adult with my own salary, but it was a pretty sad awakening to learn it was $16,000 a day. I doubt it will be available even if I could afford it now. Story 41. New clothes. I have one pair of scrubs for work. I don't own real pants, just a 10-year-old pair of sweatpants with holes and an oversized pair of sweatpants that I borrowed from my mom, and she never asked for them back. Story 42. Porsche 911R. The 911 that saved the manual transmission option in new 911s. It is an insanely special and rare car. It was initially priced at around $200,000 and shot up to about $800,000 on the secondary market. A total of 991 were made and were only offered to top customers in 2016. It is essentially a lighter, 6-speed manual, minimalist 911 GT3 RS. It is the best car ever produced. Story 43. Well, I've got a house, a family, and 2 reliable cars. I travel as much as I like and pay for all the hobbies I care for. I maximize all my retirement accounts. But I can't quite yet afford a piece of recreational property and a cabin, so probably that. Story 44. Going on a vacation without a huge amount of stress over how to afford it. I live in the living room of my friend's apartment that we converted into a bedroom. I don't even have a room, so having a room is on my goal list. Story 45. Honestly, I just want a job. I'm yet to get my driving license and I'm finishing school. I'm 20, so I had to turn down many jobs because I couldn't physically find the time to fit work, gym, and school in the week. I also didn't have the chance to be eligible because without a driving license, they won't hire you, even if I can get there with a bus or with a 20-minute walk. Story 46. Many things happened, but on Christmas Eve, I was in Walmart and heard a guy tell his wife to get the cheap can opener for now until he gets money for a more expensive one. That shook me. Story 47. I want to invest in real estate. I'm a huge fan of tangible assets such as real estate, gold, silver, and land. I love the fact that you use 90% debt and 10% of your own money. But I'm not financially stable right now, so for now, I'll just keep daydreaming. Edit. It seems like we all want a house or some form of property of our own. Godspeed. Story 48. Land. I don't even care about the kind of house or structure that's on it to live in, but I desperately want a piece of property that's all my own so I can garden, run around barefoot, eat my meals in the grass, sit under trees to read, and stand in a little stream that runs through it. Story 49. A house. I think I have the money, but I don't even understand where to start. My current rental is almost done, so it's time, but it's intimidating. Story 50. To help my mom retire. A house in an area I want to live in. Traveling the world. The freedom to not have to work or worry about my future financial stability if something happened to my job. Story 51. A new car for a start. I would also like to be able to buy a house and maybe have a family one day. In this economy, it seems impossible to create generational wealth, and it's terrifying. Story 52. I have a small machine shop, but I dream of a huge one with the newest, greatest computer numerical control machines and enough money to feed them materials for my wacky invention ideas all day long. My mind is filled with mechanical ideas 24/7. Aside from that, I want a Tesla Model S Plaid, which I will get in another year or two. Story 53. To be able to put money away so that when I go, my family does not have to worry about how they will afford to bury and scatter me. No point in saying the dream is owning a house because the question specifically says yet, and that is not likely to happen ever. If it was just a dream without the yet, I would say to own a house. Unfortunately, this economy has shifted my dreams towards what happens when I die, rather than what I can have while living. I need to only make sure my son can make a living, support himself, and survive long enough until he is independent. Story 54. A car I love. I can afford a nice car, but not something I love. An older performance car comes with so many inconveniences and hidden costs that it probably needs to be a second car, which is where I can't afford to have both.